Hello, everyone. My name is Oksana Krykun, and I'm a host of Seeds of Bravery podcast. Seeds of Bravery is a project initiated by European Innovation Commission and European Union and supports Ukrainian deep tech startups. Today, we have a podcast with Julia Bialetska, who is the co-founder of S.Lab, the startup which helps to make the packaging more sustainable. Hello, Julia. It is my pleasure to have you today and to talk to you about S.Lab and about the products and business you're building right now.
Hi, Oksana, it's a huge pleasure for me to be here. So thank you for inviting.
Yeah, so for all of us, we know, and I know personally Julia, as she is a participant of the Booster program, the digital and deep tech incubation program I lead at Innovate, which is a partner of US Seeds project. And today we will be talking about her business, her product, and the whole idea. And we will discover more about how did you manage to build the startup, how it's moving, what is interesting about the business model, and all about the things which are not under NDA. So Julia, let's start then. Yeah. So before having this podcast, I've read some really interesting information from The Guardian. I don't know, probably it's not interesting for you because you know this already, but around 0.5 percentage of the weight of the human brain right now consists of the microplastic. And the sample was, of course, like 24 people or something. There is not that huge sample, but this is kind of huge. And this is kind of a disaster because it influences a lot the health system. And like talking about your startup and about your product, can you tell us more about what you're doing, which problem you're solving right now?
Sure. And I would definitely want to comment on what you said about microplastics. And that's true. Microplastic is already in our bodies. And, if we previously spoke about the environment, we thought of, that lands are polluted, soils are polluted, oceans are polluted. And we do feel for that, of course, and we would want to change as humanity. But now it comes to even our bodies and animals' bodies. So it is much more close than ever, and then even we think. And that's why this is exactly the reason why we created S.Lab. And our solution is a truly green packaging that consists of only 2 plant-based components. And our material is a natural replacement of foam plastic or polystyrene or styrofoam, basically the same thing for this fluffy white stuff of the packaging, which is also single use. And the thing is that polystyrene or this foam plastic is not recyclable at all. So every single unit that was ever produced out of it still remains somewhere in the soils, in the oceans, and as you said, even in our bodies. So of course we want to change this, and even going further, I will show on the video how this packaging looks like. So for example, this is a lodgement for a device, and it is absolutely natural. Only 2 components. One is agricultural waste, and the other one is mycelium. And mycelium is a network of mushroom roots. So we use its binding power to create a strong and reliable material. So this way we want to help ourselves, help businesses to transition towards circular economy, which is an answer to many problems at the moment.
How did you come up with this idea? Because as I see, you have this degree in biochemistry, then you were working on different positions as product manager, project manager, and then you co-founded this company. So were you sitting with your co-founder thinking of, okay, which problem should we solve? Or was there a business request from somebody? So how did it originate? Because this is a deep tech development, and I'm wondering, and as our listeners too, so how and why you started this?
Yeah. We were almost sitting with my co-founder, but we were sitting on the beach of Bali in Indonesia in this beautiful paradise place. And first of all, we are husband and wife. We've been together for more than 10 years already. I lost count probably. As you said, I had master degree in biotechnology, but my professional experience was more related to software, to managing people, processes, projects. And at one point of our life, we were digital nomads when we were working remotely and just traveling. And one day we found ourselves in Bali, in Indonesia, and we were doing surfing sessions. So one day we went to the beach to do another surfing session, but instead of this paradise beauty, we saw that all the beach was covered with plastic waste. And it was not, just a couple of items. These were huge piles of plastic, and these were like plastic islands. And Bali has this famous, in a bad way, trash season where lots of trash comes out. And of course, we knew, and everyone knows, that plastic is bad and so on. But when we saw this with our own eyes, we actually couldn't think of anything else, but started to discover what we could do as individuals, or we started to do the research to find what are the possible solutions, how basically you build the new material. And then we started to look on the market, what are the solutions there. So basically that's how our journey started, with this when we saw the problem, and just started trying to do whatever we can in order to understand it better.
Looks like two right people were at the right place and at the right moment. So you started this company. That's amazing. And can you share like the major milestones when developing this company? So you've came through several stages. What were those?
So first, there was lots of discovery, and this was actually several years before we started actually doing something. So it was still on the back of our minds, and it was not our main job or, main work that we were doing. We were just discovering, still looking into the options. And one day my husband found hemp as a very strong plant that could be used in order to create a new plant-based material. So that's where we started. We reached out to the association of those hemp cultures in Ukraine, told them this crazy idea that maybe we would like to do something, and they were so fascinated with it that they just gave us a pile of hemp just to do our tests for free, and were super willing to support us in which way they could. And then with this hemp, we started doing some experiments on our kitchen, so literally manual stuff. And then we had to find a glue that could glue this hemp together, because to create a new material, you need two components: one that gives strength, and the other one that is binding it all together. So we already had hemp and had to find the glue. And we also, again, through the research, found the mycelium. That mycelium has such kind of features where it could bind agricultural waste together. And that's, again, what we started doing on our kitchen. We reached out to the Institute of Botanics in Kyiv, also explained our crazy idea to scientists that we would like to basically mix those two components. And the scientists were kind enough to find the best mushroom from their collection that could do that for us and do some basic training for us. So this was, I would say, the milestone number one, where we actually discovered that those two components work together. And if we mix them, we do get a strong and reliable material that has the same features as polystyrene. And then immediately we created some samples. And then immediately with those samples, we started going out, actually talking to people, to potential customers, to discover our potential audience, because it could be lots of implementation or lots of ways to use this material, but we wanted to find the focus group, I would say. So we started to introduce this to several potential industries and quickly found a fit in the packaging industry. It was 2021, and it was after COVID time, so everyone realized how much of the packaging we used during the delivery, so it was a very right time. And the feedback was crazy positive. And we sold all of our samples, which we were not going to sell them in the first place. We just wanted to showcase them. But then people wanted to actually have this type of material and hold in their hands that we sold all of them. So we quickly understood that, we are up to something. And since we already knew that the mix works, we had some manual processes how to produce material. Then we understood that if we want to have an impact and go further, we have to build a technology around this material. So that's when we actually started to be a deep tech startup, because we started to invest into the technology, to create our own technology, to innovate, to constantly invest into R&D and hire engineers and take the best practices from all of the industries of hardware. So that was like a key milestone realization, that we have to build a technology. And at this point, I wouldn't say that it is 100% ready, the technology, but still, it's always in progress. But we already have 2 patents that we filed, 3 more that we will file soon. And then, of course, in terms of the customers, one of our first customers was L'Oreal, which is also a significant milestone. And this actually marks readiness and willingness of such big companies to shift towards other materials. Of course, it takes time to implement and to actually shift and transition from what they use currently, but readiness and willingness is definitely there. So I would say that also the key milestone was working with customers and introducing the solution. And we are sure that humanity and big corporates would be happy to use something different rather than plastic and foam plastic. They just need to see those solutions, and we need to work together in order to implement them.
That's amazing and very inspiring, the story you told us right now, because as I understood, your partner, he's also a scientist, yeah, and he was also working in this sphere before.
Actually, it's quite opposite. He's very far from being scientist. He actually has a master's degree in law, but never worked as a lawyer, which is, I think, very common practice in Ukraine, probably. That that we get an education and then we actually don't work within it. But I think this training in law, this made him very detail-oriented, and he can dig into many, many papers, into many documents, read through them, and then make a significant conclusions. So I think that's how he was actually able to build the technology. He's been researching and reading all of the documentation, looking into possible solutions, and then based on kind of compiling this all in his head, getting the best solution on how it could work. And like in terms of his own experience, his name is Eugene. Let's not hide him. So Eugene actually had an experience with hardware. He's been assembling production lines in the past. So I think this is something that he was meant to be. He was meant to be an innovator and creating technologies. So finally here with this startup, he can be who he is supposed to be, I would say.
Thank you so much for sharing this, because I think that some of our listeners who are to be startup founders, they are definitely looking for some traits which are really awesome for a startup founder. And for example, for some of them, they won't have this scientific background, but still, as Eugene's experience and your experience shows us, that you can still shoot for the stars and found the startup actually, and try to do what you want. Usually for IT startups, it's said, there is a saying that you should found a startup in your garage. And for biotech startups, it means the kitchen should be the cornerstone of the startup founding. That's amazing.
We also had a garage at some point. So we've been through all of those stages: kitchen, garage, laboratory, and then proper production facility.
And customer traction, actually. This is not the thing that all of the startups can say at the very beginning, because finding product market fit is really hard, especially for hardware startups. So let's talk a bit about the how the startup operates right now, and what is current stage of development? Where are you now, and what updates and adaptations are you looking for in the upcoming future?
There are so many angles from which I could look into our progress and into our stage. Maybe the easiest is to tell about our funding or investment stage. So we closed our pre-seed round last September. And actually, we closed it during the IT arena in Lviv, in Ukraine, as we raised, or the announcement about our funding, closing our investment round was on the stage during the winning ceremony. And we are about to open our seed round, which we aim to be first quarter of 2025. So this is in terms of funding, and we do already have customers. We continue to work with small, medium businesses, with corporations, gaining some more pilot projects. So as an example, we are in the middle of the pilot projects with JTI, Japan Tobacco International. We do lodgements for their boxes with the devices that they produce. So like very specific to what we aim to do, we aim to replace those lodgements for the devices. So we're working with them on that. And then in terms of the technology, we already built semi-automated production line. And we now are making it fully automated. So this is one of the next milestones, I would say. And if we talk about TRL level, so we estimate our TRL level between 6 and 7, and we aim to get, of course, to 9, 8, 9. Let's be real still this year. And of course, really working hard on visibility and awareness of our solution, as this is the key. And of course, we need to talk money and implementation and using our material. So of course, talking to corporations, more and more corporations, building the pipeline of prospects and feeding them with our solution. So I would say that's where we stand at the moment.
Awesome. And if talk about the clients and customers, thanks for sharing these case studies. But if returning back to them, why they are buying you specifically? Because there are several alternatives on the market, and why you are better. So I'm asking you as potential corporation who is to buy this solution. And of course, I know that there are some corporations which are about net zero initiative. They are kind of decarbonizing all of their production. They want to be very environmental savvy, but still they can select the other solutions as well. But why L'Oreal selected you?
Yeah, your point is totally right, is that there are companies that already have sustainability policy in place and they actually aim to change something. So I would say that first of all, we aim only such companies, because we wouldn't be able to transmit the value of our solution for those who do not have this as their priority or as their focus. So yeah, definitely, first of all, these are the companies. Then in our case, our material is 100% biodegradable. So it can be composted at home, at the garden, at the compost bin. It can be thrown basically anywhere because once it gets into the soil, it will biodegrade in 30 days without any effort. So you don't need to do anything at all. If you break it, or if it breaks to some extent, it gets into the soil and all the biodegradation process happens there on its own. So even if it gets into the soil, if animal eats it, if fish eats it, nothing, there will be no trace, no microplastic, nothing at all. So this is, I think, the biggest benefit. And then with this benefit, we also didn't want to sacrifice any of the features that customers are kind of used to for the packaging. They expect to see some kind of durability, some kind of strengths, waterproof, thermal insulation. So in our case, our material actually is very durable. It is thermally insulating. It is waterproof at the same level as polystyrene. And then our material also has higher fire resistance, so it is more safe to use it actually. So I would say these are like main reasons in terms of features of the material. And then as a team, we are quite fast to work with our companies, our customers, in implementing solutions for them. So we have a couple of engineers who can work on the specific packaging needs and define what the final packaging could look like based on the requirements for the customer. And I'm not a professional in packaging at all. And there are so many nuances that we had to learn while working in the packaging industry that, packaging has to be certain size. It has to have certain properties. It has to kind of go over products in a certain way. Then there has to be a user experience when someone is unpacking their products. So all of those nuances, we try to work together with our customers and find a solution for them. So we really like partnering with them. I think this is the approach that also our customers and us benefit together.
That sounds really cool. And packaging is far more uneasy than all of us can think. And that's really cool that you outlined the user experience, because when I think that you're also competitive on this part, because packaging is more about the gift itself, and it cannot be just a box. It should be the one as you shown us, like very specific one. So that's really cool that you are working with the end users and with the companies itself. And you just outlined that there is a team behind this project too. So probably you can tell us more about them. How many people are there in a team? What are their profiles? What is the researchers, scientists to administrative staff ratio? Probably you can advise on that. And also, if you can look back and show us the lessons which you had on the team growth as well, because your team scaled not just once overnight, but gradually. So if you can elaborate on this more, it would be also awesome.
Actually, we are at the verge of expanding once more right now. So as we are hiring a couple of people, but I will get back to that. So currently we are 10 people with 2 co-founders. So again, Eugene and me. My role is a CEO, and his role is CTO. So basically this explains, I would say, the vision of our responsibilities. As on my side is everything around business, strategic development, fundraising, basically everything that you could imagine CEO is doing. And then Eugene is CTO, also same thing, everything around technology, around production, around manufacturing, around R&D. And of course, we have a very open and linear structure in the company that both of those divisions, they talk to each other constantly. So then again, under my kind of supervision, I have more of a business side, like business development, marketing, PR, operations, logistics, and that kind of team members. And this kind of it also outlines their roles. And then under CTO supervision is, of course, engineers are of course engineers, then operators of the production line, and R&D department. But again, this means that we talk a lot. And I would say that, if you are a logistics or operation manager, doesn't mean that you will not be doing something out of biotechnology research. That's how normally it works in a startup. But I see that all of our team members are actually super excited to work in a startup, because this actually gives them this opportunity to learn more and to get to know many more things. And we started, I think, as 4 people in 2022. It's kind of already so it's not that much, just 2 years passed, but it seems that so many things happened. So at the beginning, it was operation manager and engineer, besides 2 founders. And then it was also like kind of operational manager was doing everything, the same as me. We were doing everything on the business side. And then CTO and engineer were doing everything on the technology side. And our latest expansion was in March this year, February, March. We hired, I think, 4 or 5 more people. So, it's hard to kind of give exact numbers, because, someone leaves and someone joins later. So at the moment, yes, as I said, we are 10 people, and lessons learned quite a lot, I would say. Maybe the first one is that culture and individual features really play a key role when you hire a person. So a person could be a great professional, but then when it is not a cultural fit, and you see that some human interactions will not be comfortable for you or for the team, normally it doesn't work at the end. And it's a waste of time for both parties, for us and then for this person. So there is always this gut feeling, I would say, where you understand that this person would fit into the culture, into the team 100%. And then if you have even 10% out, you shouldn't go for this person, I would say. Then, of course, my second lesson is to outline everything in the contracts, in the responsibilities. So document everything you can, what person is going to do, what are the deliverables. And this doesn't have to be strict or in a bad way. It's just outlining what our goals, what we want to reach. Like we need to see the end result before we started. So this is also a key lesson working with the team. And then I think building the linear structure, like horizontal, where we can talk to each other. This is also I see a huge benefit to that when we work with a team, that everyone knows what's happening in each other's department, and they can interact, collaborate, and actually get a better result when they work together.
Yeah, and I wish you to have the best team members with the
It
same
is very
values so
important.
that
Yeah.
this even 10% delta will not be there. So you can find 100% fit. Thanks for elaborating on that. And let's talk a bit about the monetization model, because when I was previously talking to you, you have pretty interesting product setup and how you work with your clients. So probably you can elaborate on this more and tell us, how do you monetize? And also, how much does it cost to use for the end client your product?
So at the moment we have like an easy business model. I would say that the amount of the packaging that we produce, this is exactly how much we sell. So this is pay per use, not exactly per use, but pay per sell of the packaging. And we try to work with our customers on a monthly basis with the long-term contracts, meaning that when we onboard a new company, normally they have a certain amount of the packaging that they need every month, and we aim to outline this amount and then deliver on a monthly basis to them this amount. This helps us to plan how much raw material we need, how much we need to produce, what is our capacity, and this helps us to ensure that we actually will be able to deliver to the customer, and then of course plan our financial flows if we can have like a monthly basis. But of course reality is not that bright always. Of course there are some clients who need maybe packaging for 3 months when they launch a new product, and then they might come back to us in a half a year for another chunk. Sometimes it's one-time order for the new brand. So again, it doesn't work that ideally all the time, but that's what we aim to have, the bigger amount of such orders that are like monthly recurring orders. But in the future, we actually want to transition from being producers of the packaging to be suppliers of the technology, as we see that we did really great job in innovating and making this production of the green packaging very effective. We are able to automate it, to make it a closed loop, and with a very low effort from the users. We want to do the mini factories where we could deploy the whole production line inside of this mini factory, and then install this at the customer's premises. So let's take L'Oreal, but don't take my words that they agreed to that. Just an example. You're just imagining. So let's take L'Oreal, and they have a certain facility where they produce some kind of product, and they do have packaging line there normally at this facility, not all the time, but for some products. And then we would supply our mini factory to them, or this mini production line to their facility, and they would produce packaging at their facility, and then they would pack their products into our material and then ship it to their customers. So this saves lots of logistics costs and CO2 emissions as well. We take lots of pain from our customers because this is a fully automated production line. So basically, in terms of, let's again get back to money. So in the future, we would want to have those mini factories around the world, do like a decentralized production, and charge service fees for using those, for using basically our technology. So monthly service fee that those customers or those users would pay us for using our technology.
Wow, I think that this is also a great insight for our listeners, especially startups. Do not think in linear model where you are just selling the goods, especially in hardware. Think over additional business models which you can use and try to test those. So yeah, thanks for sharing this too. And let's talk a bit about the development cost of your product and where did the funding came from? And especially in the scope of this question, what are your future financial plans? Because you were talking about the pre-seed stage during IT Arena. So what's next?
Yeah, so kind of money in R&D, hardware, sustainability, clean tech is a hot topic. And of course, we did raise through investors, and we had few grants that also helped us to build. I think in total to this date, we already raised, and I would summarize everything, both investors and grants, more than 800,000 euros. And basically everything what we raise goes towards R&D and innovation and development. and as any normal company, I would say, or any startup, we of course do spend on salaries, on marketing, on visibility, awareness activities. But I would say that heavily this was invested into the technology, into the innovation, and into patenting as well, because this is a very expensive topic, but very important for R&D, for hardware, for clean tech, and it has to be patented, and then it shows your potential as well for investors, for the grants, those who give grants, and I think this year for the seed round we aim to do more with the grants, as we understand that since we are solving such a critical problem at the moment, and hardware is something that, of course, investors tend to invest less than into software. So this with this seed round, we want to raise around 3 million in total, with 2 million through grants and 1 million through investment. And this next round is actually for this scaling through the mini factories. So we aim to get to that point where we can sell our technology already.
And let's talk a bit about the Seeds of Bravery. So what do you expect from participating in Seeds of Bravery projects and the whole program?
I would say that we already got lots of benefits, and our expectations were exceeded, since a program is already, I wouldn't say in the middle, but for us feels like in the middle. It's already started. So of course, I mean, obviously the grant money are helping us to build further automation of the production line, to enhance technology and to enhance our TRL level. So I mean, this is absolutely clear and obvious. But I think other than that, there is much more support with non-financial services, where we are part of the Booster Accelerator, and other programs are about to start as well that are part of the Seeds of Bravery program. Then, like, if you look into then mentors, we've been able to talk to so many mentors already, and we have our own mentor that helped us a lot, and I would say helped us much more than ever, because he was so specifically picked for us. I think that it is 100% fit. And then I think such projects also come with visibility, with attending events and being able to present our solution to more and more audience. So definitely this is, I think, something that already started, but I think during autumn we will see this more, as all the tech events and all the events, they happen actually in autumn. So I think we will see even more exposure of us, because I think this is such a big consortium with so many stakeholders that have so much power in such different places, that definitely I see that this would advance us a lot, and much more than we expected.
As a part of one of the partners of Seeds of Bravery Consortium, I'm super delightful to hear that. And hopefully all of other programs will also give you a lot of benefits in the future. I mean, like non-financial ones as well. And I have pretty almost last question about your niche. Because the packaging niche, we started with this one, that this is huge, but how do you envision the future of this niche of green packaging and of the packaging at all? And you are in this niche actually, and you see some updates, adaptations, challenges which this niche might face. So can you give us a hint to all of us who are not professional in this field, but still a glimpse of what can be in the future?
Yeah, I think the future of the packaging industry are two things. One, of course, sustainability. And under sustainability, I mean everything related to biodegradable materials, regenerative materials, reused materials. So everything under that umbrella, I would say, everything that is under advanced materials, better materials, materials that have, or well, that provide less harm to the environment, to us as to humans. So this is one topic, I would say. And then the other topic is actually packaging as a service, I think, where you have a packaging that you can actually return back to the seller, and they would ship this packaging to another person in the same packaging. And the more those packaging as services will appear, I think there will be more startups. There are a couple of them that I already know, but I'm sure that there will be much more. And this is a great concept where you do not need to waste material. And in some cases, it is impossible to not use plastic, let's be real. But if you can reuse it and do this as a packaging, as a service, this would be much more beneficial. So I see like those two key topics and everything related to that. And when I talk to potential customers or, just some companies at the exhibitions, and they all say that we are looking for sustainable packaging. Some of them use word desperately looking for sustainable packaging. So I think it's a matter of actually innovating in this field and working together with those customers to actually implement this packaging, because it takes time. And recently I spoke with one of the key managers in L'Oreal, and he said that let's face that once there was glass and metal, and then there was plastic. And it took some time to actually adapt to using plastic, even though the result is not the best at the moment, but still it was time and effort from all the parties to actually start using different material. So I think this is also a trend that we will see more and more, that companies and startups, innovations, research centers, universities will work together in order to get new materials to use.
Yeah, technology adoption life cycle is real
Exactly.
here, because that's a new technology. The companies need to get used to that. The society also needs to get used to that, because this is a novelty thing which is built by Ukrainians, which is super cool. And my last question will be in honor of all of the startuppers, in honor of all of the scientists who are ready for their next step to become a startupper. So what is your key piece of advice which you can recommend to startuppers or to be startuppers in their work?
So many things that I would want to say, but maybe if I had to choose, I would say talk to your potential customer as early as possible, collect feedback, and then iterate based on this feedback. And of course, be very conscious of what you hear and why a specific person is saying some specific feedback. But overall, the more you can talk to potential customers, the more you can discover them and their needs, the better your product at the end is. So this is definitely my advice number one. Go outside of your laboratory, go outside of your kitchen or garage, whatever you have, and talk to real people who could be your real users. And then based on that, build your product.
Thank you so much for this advice and for these insights. For me, this talk was really insightful, and I had a lot of hints to write down in my memory, actually. So hopefully for all of our listeners, it will be too. So thank you so much, Julia. And we wish you, and I personally wish you, good luck in all of your endeavors and to speed up and accelerate with your startup as quick as possible.
Thank you very much, Oksana, and thank you everyone for listening to this.
Thank you. Dear all, thank you so much for listening to us. Hopefully you benefited this podcast. If you are a startup founder, to-be founder, or investor, please get to know more about other incredible startups and products in more Seeds of Bravery podcast.